Hey, Ben. Ben,
Mm.
are you there? This is Jack. Are you there,
Yep,
Ben?
I am.
Oh, good. Hey, Ben. Do you know what time it is?
It's coffee time.
Oh, coffee time. Well, listeners, welcome back to the Grow Your Clinic podcast. My name is Jack O'Brien, and we have our co-host with us today, Ben Lynch. Now, today is a very different episode. We are launching a sub-series of this podcast, and it is called Coffee Time with Ben and Jack. We're going to be talking all things coffee and client experiences. So this is a completely unique show format. And Ben, you're going to be our host. So I'm going to hand the proverbial mic over to you. Take it away, Mr. Ben Lynch.
I think it's awesome, Jack, to give further context to the listeners here and viewers. Is so much of our discussions happen over coffee, a mutual love of ours. In fact, how many coffee stories have we shared about client experiences and the whole learn from other industries and apply it into health? One in particular that we talk a lot about is coffee. And so we figured you often say to your team members, your business partner, whoever it may be, a partner that you're meeting with, let's meet for coffee. So we figured let's have a show over coffee because that's where we do business. So, Jack, what are you drinking today?
Right, let me tell you. Now, this will be viewed. So if you're listening to this podcast, you can see it over in the Grow Your Clinic Facebook group. And likewise, if you're watching in the group, come and join us at iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. What we're going to do is talk about the coffee that we're drinking really briefly. And then as we consume our brews, we'll talk client experience. So Ben, to answer your question, the viewers will be able to see here. I have from Criteria Coffee. From Criteria Coffee, I have an Ethiopian single origin. I like mine. It's a filtered brew. Criteria is part of a subscription that I get. It's from Port Melbourne, down there in Victoria. It has notes of tropical, mango, and red berry. So I personally love an African coffee. So that's me. What are you drinking, Ben?
Very neat. I love Ethiopian coffee. I actually have a Guatemalan at the moment. This is from Veneziano Coffee Roasters. Yellow plum, dark sugar, and spiced apple. Get that on the palate.
Get that on the palate. And how do you have it, Ben? Do you take it filter or espresso?
Filter. I go between filter and espresso. I drink all my coffee black because I like to appreciate the beverage. So that's what I'm drinking, Jack O'Brien, in my Frank Green. How eco-friendly of me.
Oh, I like it, but you're at home. Okay, so let's dive in. Now, in this introductory episode to Coffee Time with Ben and Jack, we want to run you, listeners, through the segments that we'll be touching on in future episodes. So, Ben, why don't you flick over and let us give us a bit of a sample of some of the segments that listeners can look forward to.
One of the segments we're excited to bring is called Make the Mandatory Memorable. So this will be a moment for us to really teach something that might be useful about those things that you do consistently or that are mandatory inside the clinic as part of the service and the experience you provide a client. Adding on distinctions about how it can be remarkable, meaningful, and memorable. Really, we want to make sure people feel valued, that perceived indifference we so often talk about. So making it memorable. And also, I think it feels good when you're doing repetitive things for people to add some thought behind it, to make it memorable, to make that exchange really something that you enjoy giving and that other people enjoy receiving. So that's one of the first categories and segments that we'll run through. Jack, we've also got another one, which is you got to check this out. What's that about?
Yeah, look, I'm just going to take a sip of my Ethiopian. And you got to check this out. It's a segment that I'm excited about because it'll be about something that we've seen, heard, or experienced that is a remarkable client experience. So you're probably going to hear stories from Virgin and Apple and Coca-Cola, or maybe some sporting franchises, those that are outside of the health realm, outside of our little niche, because sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees that are right in front of us. And so we're going to be pulling lessons and things that you need to check out from other industries and other spaces. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm really excited because I think as much power as there is in learning from our peers and our colleagues. And we see it inside the Clinic Mastery Business Academy, a couple of hundred business owners leveraging off one another and what we're doing. But if we can broaden our horizons and sample different experiences from different industries, there's so much to learn. So when you got to check this out rolls around, make sure you prick your ears up and stay tuned.
Yeah, sweet. I think that's so cool to be able to learn from other industries and businesses about how they do it. Someone, I can't remember who it was, Jack. I wish I could. Someone should let me know here. Said, really, people are comparing you with the service of an Amazon,
right?
A Virgin, a Ritz-Carlton, a hotel, a cafe, wherever it may be. Despite being a health professional, they're comparing the experience they get and service with all of these other things that happen in their world, in their life. So I think it's really important that we learn from other industries.
Yeah.
Another segment I'm excited about, Jack O'Brien, is there is no right or wrong, which is a common phrase that we use in Clinic Mastery, brought to you by Shane Davis, where he often prefaces a statement by saying there's no right or wrong. Here's one perspective. I'm looking forward to this one, Jack, because you and I are very different human beings. Very different.
And it leads to some exciting discussion. I think, people might not be familiar, but I'm a Lord personality type on the wealth dynamics spectrum, and you're kind of almost at the opposite side up in that star element. And to put it in a Myers-Briggs context, I'm an ISTJ. I'm quite introverted and mechanical and systemized. And so when we're talking about there's no right or wrong, it's actually going to be quite contrarian, a little bit controversial, and we're probably going to disagree. I think people think that we're just like two peas in a pod, but the reality is we disagree fairly rigorously, most often a number of times throughout the day, and there's no right or wrong. We'll be talking about certain topics or examples of client experiences, styles, methodologies, philosophies, and we're going to disagree. I most likely will lean towards the efficient, repeatable, some might call sterile systems and processes, whereas, dare I say, some might say that you are on the more dramatic end of the spectrum. Is that fair?
I love a bit of flair. I love a bit of character. The great Joseph Pine says business is a stage. And so I truly love that, but I appreciate the other side of it. It's not where my skills or strengths are necessarily. I think that's also why we complement quite well. A great guy called Ray Dalio talks about thoughtful disagreement. And I think we do that reasonably well. So I'm looking forward to fleshing it out over the airwaves.
And I think the reality is, Ben, is that there's a number of clinics that there's a spectrum of clinic owner. I'm thinking about our different listeners, some that are really passionate about their clinical excellence and they want to be detailed and grounded. And I know there are some that love the stage and love creating amazing environments for their communities. And so this will really help you as a listener to resonate most with you or with I.
Yeah, hopefully they find a even healthy middle ground.
Right. Tell us about the next segment.
Well, that kind of flows on nicely into literature review. Obviously, being health professionals, both of us, and to the community here, we are familiar with staying up with the latest evidence-based practice and interventions that we use in clinic to help patients get their outcomes. And what we want to bring is actually there's a lot of great research that is done, in particular in other businesses and industries, about client experiences, about leading inspired teams. And so we want to share with you some of the stuff that we're reading and digesting, and then bringing some practicality as to how could you implement this as a clinic owner? What are the actual ways to implement these progressive means of growing your clinic? So I'm looking forward to that, something a little bit different for us, Jack.
It will be different. And to be clear, this will be a literature review. We're looking at research, at articles, at journals, often with the background of psychology, because that's where experience sits.
Sure.
But we'll be looking at all the different angles of client experience. But I'm not an expert on study design and methodology. So for those nerds out there, we love you, we respect you, we need you, but you're going to have, I'm going to preface it, I'm going to pre-frame this
Sure,
with,
100%.
we're not scholars, but we are looking to learn from the literature and the evidence base to help you provide amazing client experiences.
Great distinction. I think in the world of small business, there's an element of practicality that means you also have to implement and learn through action as well. So we'll bring the best that we have at our fingertips to you. We're also going to then talk about our own experiences in a segment called Let Me Tell You About a Time When.
Right.
So I'm really excited. We've done a lot of this in the past, JOB, where we've talked about, the Flying Fig Cafe. You've talked about a gluten-free bakery before. There's been moments in our own experiences outside of health, some health related, that we're going to share a story, a little anecdote of something that we liked or disliked and the lessons from it. So I'm really excited about that because I know you're a good storyteller, Jack.
Story time with Uncle Jack. Now that'll be good fun. Let me tell you about the time when we are connoisseurs of client experiences. We try and expose ourselves to as many different environments as we can, and we are going to bring those back, distill the learnings for you, and share those with you as the listener.
Jack, the next segment I know that you'll love as a Lord, for those who have done the wealth dynamics profiling. A Lord loves the black and white. They love the numbers. And so this segment will be called According to the Dashboard. Jack,
according to the dashboard.
What is that going to be all about?
Look, I guess we're looking for a fantastic segment title. And really what we're going to do here is dive into the numbers behind client experiences. And, it might be short, sharp, and shiny, to the point, but we're going to be looking at random statistics, different numbers to do with client experiences, or really just useful trivia, perhaps down for the Wednesday night trivia down at the pub. But we'll be looking at the numbers behind client experiences. And look, I'm just going to put my toe in the water here, Ben.
Ooh.
Do you know what percentage of clients don't come back to a clinic because of perceived indifference?
I happen to know this.
Oh, do you?
I think there's a bit of research out there, and it's around the 70% mark for those that do leave and don't come back. It's through perceived indifference, or that they didn't feel particularly valued. Not that you didn't care, but on their end, they didn't particularly feel like they stood out or were of any great significance to you or to the clinic. And so they moved on. So I'm looking forward to diving into those things. As you mentioned that, Jack, speaking of my profile, which is more of the star, like the show side of things, it's showtime, as Joseph Pine would talk about, there's a brilliant TED Talk. Everyone should watch it. And it's called the TED Talk About Nothing. Just Google that. And it's a guy talking about numbers, stats, and he gives this TED Talk. And it's all about how profound your communication is. And he talks about nothing for like 7 to 10 minutes. And it's just numbers. And it's super impressive. And it makes numbers super interesting. So I'm interested in how you're going to navigate that and keep me engaged as someone who doesn't like a lot of the details.
We will bring the numbers and the dashboards to life, B. Lynch.
I'm looking forward to it. And then finally, something dear to our hearts, especially the Clinics for Good movement, will be the segment called Amplify Your Impact. Jack, what's that going to be about?
Yeah, look, client experiences are such an important thing, and we deliver amazing client experiences and remarkable outcomes for our patients to make a difference in their life. And so we want to go beyond just making a difference in an individual's life, but how can we impact communities and communities locally and abroad? And so we really want to take the time to shine a light on those who are really making a practical difference and being a clinic for good.
Yeah, overwhelmingly, when we ask a health professional, a clinic owner, why do you do what you do? Invariably, it's some version of, I love to help people.
Right.
And so there's already that kind of sense of, I do good every single day through the consults that I deliver. Actually, a small change, piece of education, intervention changes someone's life for good. We know it comes from a great place. What we're looking at is when you grow your clinic, when you lead an inspired team, you make an amazing place to work for them. And then through that, they help your local community. And beyond that, connecting with causes that are dear to your heart and amplifying your impact locally and globally is something that we love. It goes beyond the self. And I think that brings a lot of fulfillment to growing your clinic. And it really extends on being a successful clinic owner, also having incredible amount of fulfillment as a clinic owner, which is something that we believe in. Hopefully it resonates with you on some level. So we're going to be talking about how you can amplify your impact. Jack, they are the segments. We're not going to have every segment every episode. However, we will have a selection and a mix that changes from episode to episode. So we're excited to dive in and start sharing with you each of these segments and breaking them down and coming prepared to share some insights.
Absolutely. And what I would love, Ben, is I would love for listeners or viewers to jump into the Facebook group, the Grow Your Clinic group, and let us know. There'll be a thread. Which segment are you most looking forward to? For recap, listeners, they are: number 1, make the mandatory memorable. Number 2, you got to check this out. Number 3, there's no right or wrong. Number 4 will be the literature review. And I can see the nerds coming out of the woodwork. Number 5, let me tell you about a time when. Number 6, according to the dashboard and the numbers. And number 7, amplify your impact. So if you can head over to the Facebook group, Grow Your Clinic. If you're not a part, just request that. Awesome. We will let you in once you qualify. Let us know what segment you are most excited for. And in the meantime, all of the notes from this episode will be over at clinicmastery.com/podcast. You'll be able to find everything about this episode, and you'll be able to get in touch if you are ready to grow your clinic, and we might be able to help with our business academy. You can do so there. Benny, what a dream. How are you going? I'm just about finished my
I know.
My Ethiopian.
I'm looking forward to also the coffee element, trying new coffees and comparing the notes, literally.
Literally.
Well done, Jack.
Been amazing.
Been a pleasure.
It has been. Thank you for joining us, listeners. Get in touch over in the Facebook group. Thank you for your honest reviews and ratings in your player of choice. And we look forward to bringing you another episode of Coffee Time with Ben and Jack again really soon. Bye for now.
See you guys.